Ozempic. We've all heard of it, from social media trends to celebrity news. But what is it really? Let's dive into the science behind this buzzworthy drug. At the core of Ozempic, Rybelsus, and Wegovy is the active ingredient semaglutide. Semaglutide mimics glucagon-like peptide 1, or GLP-1, by binding to its receptor to activate the same pathways and produce similar biological effects. This makes semaglutide a GLP-1 agonist, given its similar structure. But what is GLP? Well, it's a hormone produced in our intestines that helps regulate blood sugar levels by promoting insulin release and preventing glucagon release. Unfortunately, GLP-1 is degraded quickly in our bodies by the enzyme DPP-4, which limits its usefulness in therapies. Semaglutide was designed to be a more stable, longer-lasting version of GLP-1. Its key structural changes include substituting an alanine with 2-amino-isobutyric acid, protecting semaglutide from DPP-4, and adding a long fatty diacid on lysine, which requires changing a different lysine into an arginine for easier synthesis. This fatty diacid allows semaglutide to bind to the blood protein albumin, protecting it from degradation and allowing for longer dosing intervals. Once injected or ingested, semaglutide binds to GLP receptors in the pancreas, working to lower blood sugar levels. Semaglutide also inhibits the hunger hormone ghrelin and slows down the emptying of the stomach. This prevents blood sugar spikes and reduces appetite, resulting in weight loss. But how is this useful? With these characteristics, semaglutide became the game-changing drug for type 2 diabetes and obesity. Type 2 diabetes is a chronic metabolic condition where glucose accumulates in the blood instead of being used by cells as fuel. Usually, insulin binding tells the cell to absorb glucose, but in type 2 diabetes, cells are resistant to insulin and ignore the message. Soon, the pancreas also becomes unable to produce higher levels of insulin to trigger a cell response. This disorder affects 400 million people worldwide, causing metabolic imbalances that eventually damage blood vessels and cause other serious health issues. Many type 2 diabetics are also obese. Obesity increases the risk of health problems like diabetes and heart disease, affecting over 800 million people globally. Today, semaglutide is prescribed to many of them. Now let's take a quick journey through development of semaglutide. By 1987, GLP-1 was discovered, and its physiological effects were identified. Studies by Jain's host revealed that GLP-1 was cleaved by DPP-4, which led to the idea that DPP-4 inhibitors or DPP-4-resistant GLP-1 analogs could be used to treat diabetes. The lack of serious side effects in analogs led to type 2 diabetes GLP-1-based therapy in 2002. Exenatide and liraglutide were from the first agonists, but they had low affinity for the receptors in the presence of albumin and required daily injections and stronger doses. The company Novo Nordisk tried to alter liraglutide and GLP-1's structure to maximize potency of the drug receptors in presence of albumin. Eventually, in 2004, semaglutide was created, and in 2017, it was approved by the FDA as an injectable diabetes treatment under the name Ozempic. Just 2 years later, the oral formulation hit the market as Rybelsus, and by 2021, it yet had another breakthrough, this time approved for weight loss under the name Wegovy. All this was made possible by the pharmaceutical giant Novo Nordisk, which took semaglutide through rigorous clinical testing. The double-blind clinical trials SUSTAIN for type 2 diabetes, STEP for obesity, and PIONEER for the oral version all provided great evidence on the efficacy and safety of semaglutide. SUSTAIN was a 7-trial program involving more than 8,000 patients with type 2 diabetes. Overall, the trial showed a significant and sustained decrease in average blood glucose levels, around 2%, over 3 months compared to the less than 0.5% with a placebo. In the STEP trials, nearly 2,000 obese non-diabetic patients were used. Substantial weight loss was observed, with participants shedding 15% of their body weight, with only a 2% reduction with a placebo. Finally, 700 diabetic patients were involved in the PIONEER trials, which showed oral semaglutide to produce similar effects as the previous 2 trials. In all trials, dose-dependent stomach pain and nausea were recorded by some. So we know now that semaglutide is effective, but how can it be improved? This is an active area of research. First, combination therapies of semaglutide with other glycemic control drugs may boost efficacy and reduce the aforementioned side effects. Second, the absorption of the oral version of semaglutide can also be improved. Although absorption enhancers are used, bioavailability is only increased by 1%. Novel research instead suggests using bile salt liposomes, like sodium glycosylate liposomes, as drug carriers. Alone, liposomes are sensitive to stomach acid, enzymes, and bile salts, making them prone to drug leakage and poor protectors. However, bile salts have improved solubility and permeability, so incorporating them into liposome membranes allows for more flexibility, resistance to degradation, and less drug leakage. Overall, semaglutide is a versatile drug that provides better results than traditional methods. While there are still kinks in need of improvement throughout its different forms, it's clear that it's a step in the right direction for providing efficient treatments globally.